More than a century ago, the world was shaken by a legendary conflict that would forever alter the balance between good and evil. During that era, the ruthless tyrant Bushin led the Dark King's army in a massive invasion of the immortal realm. Countless warriors fell as the battlefield was consumed by destruction, and it seemed as though no one could stop the advancing demon forces. Just when hope was beginning to disappear, a warrior named Shoot stepped onto the battlefield. His strength was beyond imagination, and he single-handedly became the greatest obstacle standing in the demon's path. One after another, powerful enemies challenged, only to meet their end. With unmatched power, Shoot pushed back the Demon King's army and brought humanity closer to victory. Sadly, fate had other plans. At the moment when triumph seemed certain, the people closest to him betrayed him. Shoot was killed, and his soul shattered into 72 separate fragments that scattered across the underworld. Because of his downfall, the demons regained their advantage and darkness once again spread throughout the world. For over 100 years, chaos had continued to reign. According to an ancient prophecy, the only way to restore peace is to gather every fragment of soul and release the legendary warrior from his seal. Years later, our story follows a young swordsman named Yuan. He lives alongside his younger brother Xiao and their father Cheng, a skilled demon hunter. Hidden deep within the mountain, Cheng dedicated himself to training Yuan, teaching him the secrets of swordsmanship. Thanks to his talent and determination, Yuan improved rapidly. However, their peaceful life suddenly came to an end when an extremely powerful demon attacked. Realizing the danger, Yuan immediately lifted Xiao onto his back and attempted to flee. Meanwhile, Cheng remained behind to confront the monster by himself. Despite facing an overwhelming opponent, Cheng fought without hesitation. Every strike directed at his children was blocked, and he responded with powerful counterattack. The battle intensified until a devastating hit launched him straight into a nearby wall. Refusing to fall, Cheng unleashed the full extent of his strength. His aura transformed into something terrifying as he rushed forward and grabbed the demon. Using nothing but raw physical power, he attempted to crush the creature. Even after losing his weapon, he continued fighting and activated the five-finger seal prison technique, temporarily locking the monster in place. Using the brief opening he had created, Cheng escaped with his sons and led them toward a hidden cave. Upon entering, Yuan was immediately captivated by the mysterious beauty of the place. While searching the cave, Cheng discovered ancient writings carved into the walls. Moments later, two legendary swords suddenly appeared before them. An unusual reaction occurred as both Cheng and Yuan felt themselves being drawn toward the weapon. Cheng then revealed that the twin swords had belonged to their family for generations, and that Yuan was now their rightful heir. Soon afterward, a golden box materialized nearby. Cheng entrusted it to Yuan and instructed him to hand it over to Xiao once he was old enough. Their conversation was abruptly interrupted when violent tremors shook the cave. The demon had escaped from its seal. Knowing they could not remain there any longer, the family rushed toward the hunter's cemetery, their final safe haven. Unfortunately, the monster quickly caught up to them and slammed Cheng into the ground. Getting back to his feet, Cheng admitted that defeating the creature was impossible. Nevertheless, he still possessed the power to imprison it. Gathering the last of his remaining energy, he trapped the demon inside a massive steel sphere before throwing it into a lake of molten lava. Believing the nightmare had finally ended, the family celebrated their hard-earned victory. But their happiness lasted only a few moments. Out of nowhere, the sound of a mysterious bell echoed through the area. Before anyone could react, an unfamiliar girl suddenly appeared and drove a blade into Cheng's body. The attack shocked everyone. Cheng immediately demanded to know how she had entered an area protected by barriers. To his surprise, the girl calmly explained that she had never entered at all because she had already been inside the barrier from the very beginning. As blood covered the ground, Cheng collapsed while his children watched helpless. Even in his final moments, he refused to abandon them. Seeing Yuan and Xiao crying, he used the last traces of his strength to create a protective barrier around them before activating a teleportation technique. The mysterious girl desperately tried to stop him, but she arrived too late. With a peaceful smile on his face, Cheng sacrificed himself and passed away. After losing his father, Yuan dedicated the next 10 years of his life to becoming stronger. Revenge became the driving force behind every day of training. Time passed, and both brothers eventually reached adulthood. Yuan became a professional demon hunter, while Xiao focused on unlocking the true potential hidden within himself. One day, they encountered a strange criminal operation involving a fake demon hunter. The man would enter haunted locations and pretend to eliminate monsters for profit. During one of these schemes, a real creature suddenly appeared and seemingly blew his head apart. Yet somehow, he survived. After capturing him, Yuan and Xiao uncovered the truth. The man was not acting out of greed. A demon had taken control of his life and threatened to murder his family if he disobeyed. With no way to fight back, he had been forced to cooperate. Understanding his situation, the brothers chose forgiveness and allowed him to go free. Not long afterward, Xiao finally achieved his dream and officially became a demon hunter. Proud of his younger brother, Yuan presented him with the gift their father had left behind years ago. When Xiao opened the golden box, he was disappointed to discover only a small piece of metal inside. Seeing no value in it, he ignored the item and joined the celebration. Their peaceful moment ended when an elderly man suddenly arrived seeking help. He explained that his village had been surrounded by poisonous fog and that monsters had been abducting the residents. At first, Yuan had no interest in helping. However, everything changed when he noticed a bell hanging nearby. It was identical to the bell he had seen on the night his father died. Consumed by anger, Yuan demanded to know where it came from. The old man explained that it had been taken from the demons occupying his village. Without wasting another second, Yuan and Xiao immediately set out. Upon reaching the village, they discovered that the poisonous fog was so dense that they could barely see ahead. During their investigation, Xiao suddenly disappeared. Not long after, a monster emerged from the mist and attacked Yuan from every direction. Determined to uncover the truth, Yuan repeatedly questioned the creature about the bell. The monster refused to cooperate, forcing Yuan to overwhelm it with brute force and pin it to the ground. Under pressure, the creature finally confessed that someone was connected to the bell, although it had no idea who that person was or where they could be found. Having obtained all the information he needed, Yuan prepared to leave. Unfortunately, the monster launched one final attack, leaving him no choice but to destroy it. As its body vanished, the creature delivered a chilling warning. According to its final words, Xiao's death was approaching rapidly. Elsewhere, Xiao was already fighting for his life. Trapped by a powerful enemy, he struggled to defend himself. Every attack he landed only made his opponent more aggressive. Soon, he found himself completely overwhelmed. Yuan eventually reached the battlefield, but instead of helping, he stood back and watched. He declared that this confrontation would serve as Xiao's final examination. Cornered and powerless, Xiao could do nothing but endure. Then, something unexpected happened. The small metal fragment hanging around his neck suddenly began shining brightly. Moments later, it transformed into a massive mace. A tremendous surge of energy erupted from the weapon and pierced directly through the monster's chest. The shockwave spread across the world itself. At that moment, it became obvious that the event unfolding before them would change the fate of everyone forever. Holding the bell tightly, Yuan confronted the monster and demanded an explanation. He warned the creature that a single lie would cost it its life, so it had better choose its words carefully. Unexpectedly, the instant the bell's sound echoed through the air, the monster's behavior changed. It looked as if it had fallen under some kind of spell. While in that strange state, the creature revealed that the bell had been given to them by a woman named Ling Xing. According to her instructions, once the two brothers learned about the bell, they would eventually come looking for it themselves. Before Yuan could ask another question, something unusual happened. The bell suddenly began rotating on its own. Moments later, it shot directly into the monster's body. A violent explosion followed, forcing Yuan to immediately pull Xiao away from danger. Thankfully, both brothers escaped without suffering any injuries. After Xiao recovered, Yuan reminded him about the artifact they had discovered earlier and encouraged him to claim it. Xiao approached the weapon and reached out to touch it. However, the moment his hand made contact, the artifact instantly reverted to its ordinary appearance. Soon afterward, two unfamiliar figures arrived and revealed a shocking secret. They explained that the object Xiao possessed was actually one of the legendary 72 fragments. Because of its importance, they demanded that the brothers surrender it immediately if they valued their lives. Yuan refused without hesitation. He declared that nobody would be taking the fragment unless they were willing to step over his corpse first. One of the strangers lost patience and launched an attack. The outcome was immediate. Yuan was completely overwhelmed by a single strike and could barely remain standing. The woman prepared to finish both brothers on the spot, but her companion intervened before things escalated. Rather than continuing the fight, he used his abilities to heal Yuan's injury. Realizing the pair had no intention of killing them, Yuan asked what their true purpose was. The strangers then shared the story of the ancient warrior Tian. Long ago, he had been betrayed, and his soul had been broken into 72 fragments. Their mission was to recover every fragment and resurrect it. They believed that only Tian could put an end to the demon's growing influence in the human realm. Even after hearing their explanation, Yuan still struggled to part with an heirloom that had belonged to his family for generations. Xiao, however, viewed the situation differently. He reasoned that if the fragment had the power to save countless innocent lives, keeping it for personal reasons would be selfish. With that decision made, Xiao willingly handed the fragment over. Just as the brothers prepared to continue on their way, the group stopped them with an unexpected revelation. The fragment Xiao had surrendered was not actually the true weapon itself. When removed from Xiao's possession, the rusty piece of metal transformed into a radiant golden artifact. Yet the moment the girl tried holding it, the weapon reverted back into rusted scrap. This strange reaction proved that the fragments possessed wills of their own. Each fragment selected its rightful master, and in this case, the artifact had clearly chosen Xiao. The man then introduced himself as Sha and informed the brothers that they would need to travel together from now on. The offer sounded appealing, especially since Yuan and Xiao no longer had any reason to return home. Before leaving, Yuan made one final stop to collect the reward promised by the village chief. With that completed, the group officially set out on their quest to recover the remaining fragment. As the journey continued, the four travelers slowly became more familiar with each other. Then one day, an unexpected incident occurred. A young girl suddenly appeared in the middle of the road and collapsed directly in front of their vehicle. Fortunately, the vehicle's safety system activated automatically and prevented a fatal collision. Yuan immediately jumped out to investigate. The moment he discovered the unconscious stranger was a young woman, he rushed over without hesitation. Despite everyone else's objection, he carried her into the vehicle and insisted on treating her injury. Once she regained some strength, the girl explained that she had been traveling peacefully before being attacked by a group of bandits. Unfortunately for her, the story sounded completely fabricated. Almost nobody believed what she was saying. Nevertheless, she continued acting frightened and begged the group to escort her safely to the Great Valley. In exchange, she promised to reward them with anything they desired. The group casually informed her that they were already headed toward the Great Valley. Their destination contained another fragment similar to the one Xiao possessed. The moment the girl saw the artifact, a subtle but sinister smile crossed her face. That night, while everyone else slept, she quietly slipped into their camp. Without being detected, she successfully stole the fragment and disappeared before dawn. When morning arrived, the theft was discovered, leaving the entire group stunned. The truth soon came to light. The girl had delivered the stolen artifact directly to a hidden demon base. Proud of her accomplishment, she demanded that the demons fulfill their side of the bargain and release her imprisoned sister. However, she had no idea what she had actually stolen. The demons explained that the rusty object was one of the most powerful treasures in existence. If its true power were ever fully unlocked, it could destroy the entire world in an instant. By obtaining it, their leader intended to ascend as the next demon king. Her sister immediately begged her to escape. She reminded her that she had promised long ago to abandon her life of theft, yet the girl refused to run away. She believed she could still solve everything on her own. Eventually, the demons ordered her to surrender the artifact completely. Knowing her sister's life depended on it, she reluctantly complied. At first, it seemed the demons would honor their agreement. They released her sister exactly as promised. Believing the ordeal was finally over, the two sisters began walking away together. Then the demons revealed their true intention. Although they had agreed to accept the artifact, they had never promised to spare the girls' lives. Fortunately, the girl had anticipated the betrayal. Before things spiraled completely out of control, she activated her ability and successfully returned the fragment to its rightful owner. The sisters immediately attempted to flee, but escape proved impossible. They were quickly cornered and overwhelmed. No matter how hard they fought back, the outcome never changed. Eventually, both girls were trapped inside a spiritual barrier. The older sister, Z, could hardly believe what had happened. She never expected one of the demons to possess such mastery over spiritual energy. Meanwhile, Yuan and his companions finally reached the Great Valley. Following the fragment signal, Yuan and Xiao entered a cave where they discovered the two sisters imprisoned and crying in despair. The sisters pleaded for help. They explained that the demons had already obtained what they wanted and begged to be released. Feeling sympathy for them, the brothers destroyed the barrier and set them free. Sadly, the demons had no intention of letting the matter end there. Without warning, they launched a brutal attack against the younger sister. She died in her sister's arms, drawing her final breath while Z watched helpless. At that moment, it seemed inevitable that Zai would soon meet the same fate. That was when Yuan finally snapped. Exploding forward with incredible speed, he charged directly into the enemy ranks. Every demon foolish enough to stand in his path lost its head before it could react. Soon, the rest of the group joined the battle as well. The demons attempted to surround them from every direction, but the difference in strength was far too great. Sha unleashed a devastating attack that sent numerous enemies flying across the battlefield. Another opponent was launched high into the sky. One demon was struck by a burning attack and reduced to ashes. Meanwhile, Yuan effortlessly cut down another enemy before it even realized what was happening. Once the fighting finally ended, Zi returned Xiao's fragment and sincerely apologized for the trouble she had caused. Unfortunately, the conflict was far from over. The demon leader suddenly began sacrificing his own life force in exchange for greater power. With every passing second, his strength increased at an unbelievable rate. Soon, his presence became overwhelming. Despite combining their efforts, Yuan and Xiao found themselves completely powerless against him. No matter what techniques they used or how fiercely they attacked, nothing seemed capable of stopping the monster standing before them. The demon stood confidently against every attack thrown at him. In his mind, victory was already guaranteed because none of the brothers' assaults seemed capable of harming him. What he failed to realize was that Yuan and Xiao had begun drawing upon the power of nature itself. By combining their strength, they finally broke through his defenses and brought him down. As the demon perished, a large amount of energy escaped from his body. Understanding how valuable that power could become, the brothers absorbed it for future use. Once the battle was over, Yuan and Xiao hurried outside and rescued the two sisters. To their surprise, the younger sister had somehow survived. Their relief lasted only a moment because another unexpected threat soon appeared. The demon who should have already been dead suddenly returned. Worse still, his power had increased to an unbelievable level. He immediately attacked, forcing Yuan into a difficult fight. Despite all his strength, Yuan found himself unable to gain any advantage against the monster. Seeing his brother struggling, Xiao rushed forward to assist. Unfortunately, his intervention only made matters worse. The demon quickly trapped him and activated a petrification technique that left him helpless. Realizing the situation was becoming dangerous, Yuan ordered Xiao to take the sisters and escape immediately. Xiao refused to abandon him and desperately attacked the barrier over and over again. No matter how hard he tried, it would not break. Eventually, Xiao collapsed and stared at his own hands. Feelings of frustration consumed him. He wondered how many times he would continue repeating the same mistakes. Every time danger appeared, Yuan was always the one forced to protect him. The more he thought about it, the more convinced he became that he would never grow stronger. Slowly, despair took over and tears began falling from his eyes. At that moment, something incredible occurred. The ancient artifact reacted once more and entered a second transformation. A tremendous surge of energy erupted from the weapon and instantly shattered the barrier surrounding Yuan. However, Xiao was unable to witness the miracle for long. His confidence had completely broken, and moments later he lost consciousness. The sight of Xiao lying unconscious pushed Yuan beyond his limits. Rage exploded inside him. Without holding anything back, he launched a savage assault against the demon. Attack after attack slammed into the enemy until he was finally forced onto the ground. Just as Yuan prepared to end the battle, the demon unexpectedly began speaking. The monster commented that Yuan reminded him of someone he had known long ago. Judging from his abilities, he guessed that Yuan must have been trained by the strongest demon hunter alive. Yuan demanded answers and ordered him to continue. Before the demon could reveal anything useful, the mysterious bell echoed once again. The instant the sound reached him, the demon died on the spot. Later that night, Sha examined the younger sister and discovered that her condition had become extremely dangerous. Ordinary treatment would not be enough to save her. To keep her alive, he placed her inside a special dimension where time itself stood still. Sha reassured everyone that once they found a suitable healer, she could be released and properly treated. After hearing this, Sha wandered away from the group. Guilt weighed heavily on his heart. He blamed himself for everything and admitted that he was too weak to protect anyone. Yuan eventually found him and reminded him of an important fact. The legendary artifact had chosen Xiao as its master. That alone proved that immense potential remained hidden within him. Yuan encouraged him to keep moving forward because a day would come when nobody would be capable of standing against the two brothers. Those words restored Xiao's determination. Shortly afterward, Xia infused the artifact with the power collected from the defeated demon. Once the process was complete, the group resumed their travels together with their newest companion. After some time, they arrived at a strange city where the temperature was far higher than normal. The unbearable heat immediately affected Xiao. He developed a fever and struggled to remain conscious. Although everyone initially feared he had become ill, Xia quickly clarified the situation. Xiao was not sick at all. His body was simply adapting to two different sources of power at the same time. According to Sha, the process would eventually make him much stronger. In the meantime, they could purchase spiritual medicine to ease the side effect. Following Sha's suggestion, the group visited a nearby shop. To their confusion, the location appeared to be nothing more than an ordinary clothing store. Shortly afterward, the owner arrived and explained that spiritual practitioners had become increasingly rare over the years. Because of that, he had shifted his business towards selling clothing, although he still maintained part of his original profession. With a simple gesture, the owner revealed his secret inventory. The entire store transformed, exposing shelves filled with spiritual items. He handed them several red beans capable of reducing body heat, which they immediately gave to Zhao. Curious about the city's unusual climate, the group asked why the temperature remained so extreme. The owner explained that a century ago, a meteor had crashed into the area and devastated everything nearby. The object burned continuously for 300 days. Even more surprising was the fact that its flames never weakened after all those years. Instead, the heat continued to intensify. Naturally, the group wondered why someone with spiritual abilities had never resolved the problem. The owner explained that the true source of the disaster was not the meteor itself, but a powerful fire demon. The creature possessed complete control over flames and overwhelming physical strength. Defeating such an opponent was nearly impossible. At that point, Sha instructed Shao to activate his weapon. As soon as Shao rotated the artifact, it began producing strange signals. Those signals pointed directly toward the location of the meteor's battle spirit. Since the fire demon was likely guarding the same area, the group realized they could accomplish two objectives at once. Yuan immediately volunteered to participate. Although the others warned him that this mission would be unlike any challenge they had faced before, he refused to back down. Determined as ever, he joined the expedition. After arriving at their destination, the group attempted to discuss a strategy. Unfortunately, Yuan had no interest in waiting. Before anyone could finish planning, he openly revealed their presence and practically challenged the enemy to appear. As expected, numerous opponents emerged almost immediately. Meanwhile, the intense heat caused Xiao to lose consciousness. While unconscious, he experienced a strange vision. In that vision, he witnessed Tian standing alone against an enormous demon army. Tian's strength was overwhelming. Demons fell one after another, and none could survive a second strike from him. Despite his incredible power, however, he was eventually betrayed and lost his life. As the vision continued, Xiao found himself standing between two opposing forces. One represented humanity while the other represented demonkind. It was there that he learned the truth. Tian had originally been human. Both sides began influencing Zhao's thoughts. They reminded him of every moment he had depended on Yuan for protection. They asked what would happen if his brother were no longer there to save him. Could someone as weak as he believed himself to be ever protect anyone? The voices acknowledged Xiao's tremendous potential, but pointed out that his greatest weakness was his unstable mentality. One side offered him a solution. If he abandoned his humanity and accepted demonic power, he could gain enough strength to protect Yuan at any cost. The temptation struck directly at Xiao's heart, because he knew there was truth behind those words. For a brief moment, he nearly accepted the offer. Then he realized what would happen if a demon took residence within him. Eventually, it would seize control of his body. Rather than protecting others, he would become a threat to everyone around him. With that realization, Xiao made his choice. He rejected the demonic power completely. The instant he did, the entire world around him began to crumble. Only then did he discover the truth. Everything had been a test created by the artifact itself. By refusing the temptation, Xiao had successfully passed. Back in reality, Yuan and the others were still locked in battle. Suddenly, an overwhelming presence descended upon the battlefield. The spirit of the meteor had finally appeared. The true source behind the century-long disaster now stood before them. Yuan immediately charged toward the ancient being, but a single movement was enough to force him backward. The meteor spirit revealed that it had spent 100 years waiting for an opportunity to take revenge against the immortals. Now that worthy challengers had arrived, it welcomed them to claim its power if they could survive. According to the spirit, they had just stepped into the very center of hell. Its intimidating words failed to shake Yuan's resolve. He launched another attack, and the meteor spirit responded with the same devastating fire technique. This time, however, something completely unexpected occurred. The flames never reached Yuan. Instead, they were absorbed by the legendary twin swords he carried. The sight immediately caught the meteor spirit's attention. Recognizing the weapons, it intensified its flames even further. It warned Yuan that what he was attempting was incredibly dangerous. The meteor's fire had continued burning for a full century, yet Yuan's body was actively drawing that immense power into itself. The fact that he remained in control under such circumstances was remarkable. To the meteor spirit, it was proof that Yuan possessed extraordinary potential far beyond that of an ordinary warrior. The meteor spirit revealed its true intention. It declared that the catastrophe about to happen could no longer be stopped. According to it, the path of revenge had already begun, and its ultimate goal was to destroy the Palace of the Immortals. Yuan and the others were shocked because the Palace of the Immortals was the very force responsible for protecting the world from countless threats. They immediately tried to stop the meteor spirit by force, but it was completely pointless. Its power was far beyond anything they could handle. The spirit demanded their blood so it could complete its plan. Yuan struggled to his feet and realized what the enemy intended to do. He told his companions to escape immediately because the disaster would become unstoppable if the spirit obtained their blood. Yuan promised to delay the enemy for as long as possible and instructed them to come back with a plan to save him later. Although they obeyed, they left in tears. Meanwhile, the volcano within the city erupted violently, signaling that the first phase of the spirit's plan had already begun. The meteor spirit praised Yuan and admitted that he was an impressive disciple of the Twin Sword Master. However, it also warned him that his decision would turn this place into his grave. Yuan ignored the warning and continued attacking without hesitation. The spirit repeated that this battlefield would become his final resting place. Moments later, a devastating strike sent Yuan crashing into a wall and rendered him unconscious. Just as the spirit prepared to finish him off, his companions returned. They had refused to abandon him. Using their unique abilities and techniques, they successfully escaped the area together. The meteor spirit then collected the drops of blood that had fallen during the battle and used them to draw a mysterious circle. The moment the ritual was completed, 3 volcanoes suddenly emerged throughout the city. The meteor itself began moving as enormous amounts of energy gathered within it. Slowly, it started heading toward the Palace of the Immortals. It appeared that the spirit's plan was finally about to succeed. One of the companions wanted to stop it immediately, but Shah explained that there was no danger to the Palace of the Immortals. Although the meteor spirit had recovered all the power it had lost over the years, its outer structure had changed completely. As a result, the meteor would not strike the palace. Instead, it would fall back toward the city. That prediction proved correct. Massive rocks began raining down from the sky. The meteor spirit was furious because this meant its plan had failed. It had simply taken too long, causing everything to go wrong. Elsewhere, Z and Xiao were trying to escape the destruction along with the other citizens. During the chaos, Xiao heard the cries of a little girl begging for help. Unable to ignore her, he rushed to save her. Eventually, everyone was moved into shelter. Seeing Yuan's condition deeply upset Xiao, but there was no time to dwell on it because they desperately needed a way to stop the disaster. At that moment, Xia introduced them to a legendary item known as the Core of Frost. This secret artifact possessed the ability to neutralize any heat in the world. Unfortunately, obtaining it would be extremely difficult. The core was hidden within Goten Castle, a fortress guarded day and night. Breaking into it was considered nearly impossible. The group wondered how they could possibly accomplish such a task. Xia then reminded them that they happened to have a skilled thief among them. The girl immediately realized they were talking about her. She felt conflicted because she had promised her sister that she would never steal again. However, she was also their only hope. Reluctantly, she agreed. Using her extraordinary stealth skills, she infiltrated the castle without anyone noticing. She quickly bypassed several guards and eventually located the person who knew the location of the core. However, despite all her efforts, the target refused to reveal any information. She attempted to use force and even fought against the person, but her opponent easily pinned her against a wall. No matter what happened, the individual refused to reveal the artifact's location. Meanwhile, the city continued to suffer. Buildings were destroyed as the catastrophe unfolded above the citizens' heads. Once Z finally returned, Xiao and the others decided that they could no longer sit back and watch. They would have to confront the meteor spirit directly. Xiao wanted to join them, but they refused and ordered him to stay behind and watch over Yuan. Back at the castle, the girl finally reached the chamber where the Core of Frost was kept. However, just as she was about to take it and leave, a gigantic monster suddenly appeared before her. Judging by its appearance alone, the situation was about to become far more dangerous. Meanwhile, the city had been reduced to little more than ruin. During the chaos, the truth about the meteor spirit's past was finally revealed. Long ago, it had originally been a human. One day, he protected a helpless girl from thieves. What he did not realize was that his own heart had been stolen at first sight. He fell deeply in love with her. As the years passed, their love continued to grow until they eventually married. Unfortunately, their happiness was short-lived. Everything changed in a single moment when the promised meteor descended from the heaven because of the actions of the immortals. The disaster destroyed everything in its path, including the woman he loved most. From that day forward, he swore revenge against the immortals. Back in the present, the battle continued. The heroes confronted him once more, but he easily blocked their attacks. When they spoke about saving innocent lives, he laughed at them and called them hypocrites. While the others struggled to understand what he meant, Shao understood perfectly. Just as everyone was about to be completely overwhelmed, Shao stepped forward and begged the meteor spirit to stop. He reminded him that this was the city where he had been born and where he had spent the happiest moments of his life. Shao told him that nothing he did would ever bring his wife back. If he continued down this path, he would only create more victims and spread the same suffering to someone else. Those words clearly affected the spirit. For a brief moment, it seemed as though Shao had reached him. However, the spirit quickly rejected the idea. He demanded to know why the immortals had refused to stop the meteor when the Demon King attacked them long ago. Instead of protecting humanity, they had allowed innocent people to suffer. Because of that decision, he had lost the most important person in his life. In his eyes, the immortals deserved to experience the same pain he had endured. Filled with rage, he launched another devastating attack. Shao was frozen in place after hearing the truth. Even so, he forced himself forward and spoke from the bottom of his heart. He asked the spirit what difference there really was between him and the people he hated. Shao pointed out that even if he killed everyone, the past would never change. The meteor spirit refused to listen. It insisted that it was not wrong and that its revenge had to be completed no matter what. Suddenly, it transformed into a true monster. Its power increased to an unbelievable level. With a single attack, it sent Shao flying away. Fortunately, Shao managed to protect himself with his own power, but the impact still left serious damage. Even so, he forced himself to stand and continue fighting. At that moment, a powerful force struck the monster's body. Z had successfully defeated the Guardian and was finally close to activating the Core of Frost. It became clear that obtaining the artifact had been their objective from the very beginning. The meteor spirit became even more enraged and unleashed a devastating attack that destroyed half of the city in a single blow, before moving toward the remaining half. If it had not been for the ancient artifact, all three of them would have died instantly. The others were unable to move, and Shao was not in much better condition. However, he refused to remain useless. Gathering every bit of strength he had left, he forced himself forward alone. Meanwhile, Zai was just moments away from retrieving the Core of Frost when something completely unexpected happened. One of the monsters suddenly invaded the area. Z immediately hid herself, but what she did not expect was that the monster had come for the exact same reason. Without any difficulty, it stole the Core of Frost before she could react. The monster sensed the meteor spirit's rage and headed directly toward it. The meteor spirit welcomed its arrival, and a fierce battle immediately began. The clash was so intense that the entire city shook despite neither side landing many direct blows. During the battle, the monster transformed into its full beast form and declared that no one could surpass the Tyran race. The transformation dramatically increased its power. With one crushing strike, it sent the meteor spirit flying. Before the spirit could even touch the ground, the monster pierced straight through its body and killed it. As the meteor spirit died, its battle energy emerged from its body. The monster collected that power and placed it beside the energy of the younger sister. Before it could continue strengthening the meteor, Shao suddenly intervened and absorbed one of the energies himself. His power immediately increased. However, the monster quickly realized what was happening. It snatched Shao's staff away and struck him with a devastating attack. Had someone not saved him in time, Shao would have been split in half. The monster then tried to throw away the ancient artifact, but discovered that it could not separate it from its owner. Frustrated, it cut off the attack and declared that it would return another time before disappearing from the battlefield. Afterward, Shao recovered his weapon and used it to destroy the core of frost. The moment the artifact shattered, the entire city was instantly covered in ice. The freezing effect did not stop there. It reached the meteor itself and broke it into countless small fragments. The human responsible for all of this, whose name was Dong, looked at the frozen scene with sadness and apologized. He admitted that he had failed to keep his promise. At that moment, he imagined his wife standing before him. She gently reassured him that everything was all right. If it had not been for his guidance and his decision to reveal the proper way to activate the core of frost at exactly the right time, the entire city would have been destroyed and countless people would have died. Hearing those words, Dong finally found peace. With a smile on his face, he passed away while imagining himself in his wife's embrace. On the third morning after the battle, the group continued their journey toward a new destination. Their next goal was a magical river that could heal Yuan's injury. Yuan complained that he felt perfectly fine and insisted that searching for more fragments would be a better use of their time. However, Z quickly shut down that idea. She explained that if he truly wanted to help everyone, then he needed to recover first. Unable to argue with her, Yuan finally agreed, and the group headed toward the river. During the journey, Sha could be seen carrying a large cooking pot and was clearly in a bad mood. Eventually, they arrived at Dragon Town, which was located just beyond the river. Strangely, the town was completely empty. Shortly after their arrival, their vehicle suddenly malfunctioned. Sha stepped outside to repair it. Yuan noticed his strange behavior and asked what was wrong. Z explained that if Yuan did not need the magical river to recover, Sha would never have chosen to come to the... It seemed that Dragon Town reminded him of a very painful memory. Yuan approached Sha and offered to help, but Sha refused. He explained that the problem came from the vehicle's energy core. Fortunately, there was a nearby mine where he could gather the necessary energy and fix everything himself. Yuan attempted to accompany him, but Sha insisted on handling the problem alone. Z watched the exchange and felt sorry for him because she understood exactly what was troubling. Long ago, Sha and his friends had been assigned a military mission. Their objective was simple: eliminate the demons that had invaded Dragon Town. The team had prepared thoroughly and taken every possible precaution before entering the area. Back in the present, Sha arrived at the mine. It was the exact same location where that mission had taken place years ago. As he entered, memories of the past flooded back into his mind. When his team originally entered the cave, their first priority had been rescuing the miners. However, if the miners could not be saved, they would have no choice but to eliminate the demons responsible. As they ventured deeper into the mine, they realized that the second option would be necessary. The strangest part was that none of the miners' bodies could be found anywhere. Then they discovered the horrifying truth. Every miner had been transformed into a zombie. Now they faced an impossible decision. They would have to kill innocent people who had once been human. Most of the soldiers refused to do it. They could not accept the idea of killing people just like themselves. However, their commander, Xie, gave a direct order to eliminate every infected individual. Reluctantly, they obeyed. No matter how many zombies they attacked, exploded, or destroyed, the creatures continued rising again and again. Nothing seemed capable of stopping them. Eventually, one of the soldiers became infected, forcing the group to retreat. They managed to reach a resting chamber and attempted to call for reinforcement, but there was no signal available. Fortunately, one of their teammates, a blonde-haired technology expert, managed to establish communication despite the lack of a network. Reinforcements would arrive in only a few minutes. However, something felt wrong. The silence surrounding them was far too unnatural. Before they could understand what was happening, a massive explosion shattered the wall beside them. One of the soldiers was pierced through the body instantly. Back in the present, Sha finally located the energy core and collected a portion of its power. As he prepared to leave, he noticed an ancient inscription carved into the wall. The words read, "A sacrifice of immortal blood." The moment Sha saw the inscription, he froze. It was the exact same ritual that had summoned the demon during the tragedy years ago. He fell to his knees and wondered if he was about to repeat the same mistake once again. But this time, things would be different. Sha refused to let history repeat itself. He declared that he would not allow anyone to die this time and decided to face the monster alone. Without hesitation, he launched an attack. The very same attack had once claimed the life of one of his comrades during the mission years ago. Back then, he had created a barrier to stop the monster and used his abilities to save his injured friend. However, his companion had told him that the rest of the team was already dead and begged him not to sacrifice himself as well. The dying soldier pleaded with Sha to escape and carry the information they had gathered. If Shah also died, then all of their sacrifices would have been meaningless. Shah had refused to accept that outcome. As the commander, he believed that saving his soldiers was his highest priority. He promised his friend that he would endure everything and kill the monster, even if it cost him his own life. He blamed himself for everything that had happened. Eventually, his comrade lost consciousness and collapsed. Moments later, another member of the team sacrificed himself by detonating his own armor along with the monster. Back in the present, Shah was knocked to the ground by the same creature. Lying there, he believed that he was finally about to reunite with his old friends. He apologized for failing to avenge them and asked for their forgiveness. In his vision, his old comrades appeared before him. However, instead of blaming him, they encouraged him to continue living. They reminded him that his new team was still waiting for him outside. They told him to finish his mission first and join them someday in the future. Tears filled Shah's eyes as he opened them once more. The first thing he saw was his 4 companions fighting desperately against the monster. Z launched a devastating attack while the others followed up immediately, but none of their efforts seemed to have any effect. The creature remained completely unharmed. Realizing the situation was hopeless, Shah turned to Xiao and ordered him to activate his barrier and protect everyone. Shah intended to sacrifice himself so that nobody else would die. Xiao desperately tried to stop him, but Shah explained that there was no other way. If he did not act, Yuan and the others would all die. With determination in his eyes, Shah stepped forward and unleashed the full extent of his power. He prepared to sacrifice both his body and soul in a final explosion. Before he could do so, Xiao intervened. Xiao declared that just as Shah did not want to lose any of his friends, he also refused to lose any of his own. The strength of Xiao's determination caused the ancient weapon to fully awaken. The artifact released its complete power for the first time. With a single overwhelming attack, the monster was completely annihilated. The mission ended without anyone losing their life. Witnessing that moment made Shah realize that he finally had companions he could rely on. Later, he visited the graves of his former teammates and paid his respect. Looking at their resting place, he quietly admitted that he would not be joining them anymore. Meanwhile, another mysterious man stood before a grave and spoke sadly. Since the death of the person buried there, life had completely lost its meaning for him. Soon afterward, the group continued their journey. During the trip, Shah thanked Xiao. He admitted that without Xiao's help, he would probably be buried underground by now. Yuan immediately reminded him that they were a team and that teammates were supposed to support each other. Eventually, the group arrived at the legendary magical river. Its beauty exceeded every expectation. According to an ancient legend, anyone who bathed in its waters would not only recover from their injuries, but would also have a cherished wish granted. Surprisingly, the river was completely empty. When the group asked why nobody was there, they learned that the immortals had forbidden ordinary humans from seeing or using the river. Yuan jokingly remarked that this simply proved how special he was. The moment Yuan entered the water, his wounds began healing at a remarkable speed. His physical strength also started increasing. While enjoying the river's effects, he suddenly noticed a man standing silently on the riverbank. It was the same individual who had seemed troubled earlier. The moment the stranger saw Yuan's twin swords, memories flooded into his mind. He recalled a brutal battle from the past. During that battle, swords had clashed relentlessly, and blood had covered the battlefield. One warrior wielded the power of darkness, while the other fought using a completely different force. In the final exchange, one of the fighters fell. The stranger then looked directly at Yuan and explained that the swords he carried had once belonged to a famous demon. Yuan was confused and replied that he had inherited the swords from his father. He assumed the stranger had mistaken him for someone else. The man firmly denied it. He explained that the twin swords had belonged to the strongest demon hunter in the world. Since Yuan was not that warrior's disciple, he had no right to wield them. Yuan simply smiled. He pointed out that if the stranger had truly defeated the strongest demon hunter in the world, then defeating him would make Yuan the strongest human of the current era. The stranger accepted the challenge and told Yuan to show him what he was capable of. The others quickly stepped in and tried to stop the fight. However, the man casually moved his sword and split the ground apart. He warned everyone to stay out of the battle if they valued their lives. Z immediately recognized him. She revealed that the man was Jin, a legendary warrior from the ghost race and one of the strongest swordsmen in the underworld. Jin questioned why she was trying to stop him if she already knew who he was. Z calmly explained that she was not trying to stop the duel. Her only concern was that Yuan was still injured. A true warrior would never be satisfied fighting an opponent who could not use his full strength. Hearing that, Jin stabbed his sword into the ground. The impact shook the entire area. He then gave Yuan half a day to recover. If Yuan failed to appear for their duel after that, he warned that all of them would die. After making his declaration, Jin left. The 5 companions returned to their vehicle and immediately began discussing how they could possibly defeat such an opponent. Z then revealed the terrifying truth about him. Jin's sword had been forged from one of the most powerful ghosts in existence. In addition, his training and natural talent were completely abnormal. When the Ghost King learned that Jin had sacrificed one of his own judges, he personally led an entire army to eliminate him. The result was unbelievable. Jin wiped out every single one of them. After that battle, he became the new Ghost King. Even after hearing the story, Yuan remained completely confident. He pointed out that the twin swords he carried had defeated Jin once before. Since he now wielded those same weapons, he believed that defeating Jin should be possible. Yuan then remembered the final words his father had spoken before his death. Yuan remembered his father's final words. The twin swords were the greatest weapons ever created for killing demons. Since they were his family's heirloom, that meant the person who had defeated Jin in the past was one of his ancestors. The same blood that had once defeated Jin flowed through his veins. Because of that, Yuan believed he could defeat Jin as well, and make him suffer a second defeat at the hands of the same family. The others immediately questioned his confidence. They reminded him that the person who defeated Jin was the strongest demon hunter in the world. How could Yuan possibly claim that he would win so easily? Yuan calmly explained that the path they had chosen was filled with danger. If they could not face an opponent like Jin, then they would never survive the stronger enemies waiting ahead. Running away was not an option. That was one of the most important lessons his father had ever taught him. No matter how dark the night became, the dawn would always come. Xiao disagreed. He warned Yuan that if he challenged Jin with his current strength, he would die. Xiao had already lost his father and refused to lose his brother as well. He insisted that everything he did was meant to protect him. Yuan responded that he did not need anyone's protection. After saying that, he walked away and spent the rest of the night thinking about everything that had been said. Later, Z approached him and quietly begged him not to die. She admitted that she did not want to lose him the same way she had lost her sister. Yuan reassured her that everything was under control. The next morning, the appointed time finally arrived. Before the battle began, Sha used his power on Yuan to enhance his reaction. He explained that speed was Yuan's greatest advantage and instructed him to use it to its fullest potential. Yuan confidently accepted the advice. Afterward, he visited Xiao and tried to ease his worries. Yuan reminded him that he had never lost a fight before and promised that he would return alive. He declared that he would win the duel because he intended to achieve his dream of becoming the strongest demon hunter in the world. As he drew his weapons, Yuan confidently stated that nobody would defeat him. At that moment, he remembered the first time he had wanted to touch the twin swords. Back then, his father had stopped him. Cheng explained that Yuan did not yet possess the qualifications needed to master the twin sword techniques. He made it clear that he was not belittling his son. The truth was that for over 1,000 years, nobody from their family or even from the rest of the world had successfully mastered those swords. Cheng feared that if Yuan tried to wield them too early, the swords might take control of him. Young Yuan immediately rejected the idea. He boldly declared that one day he would become the strongest demon hunter in the world. He would master the twin swords and make his father proud. Cheng simply laughed and said that they would see what the future held. Back in the present, the duel finally began. Yuan charged directly at Jin. To Jin, the attack was reckless and predictable. With a single movement, he effortlessly blocked the strike and sent Yuan flying. A second attack nearly split Yuan in half. The only reason he survived was because of the increased speed he had gained from Sha's enhancement. Before Yuan could even recover, Jin launched another attack. However, none of those attacks managed to hit Yuan directly. They were the exact same patterns that Cheng had trained him to avoid countless times during childhood. Yuan remembered every lesson his father had taught him. Random attacks only lead to defeat. A fighter must carefully analyze the enemy, respect their abilities, and use every sword strike with purpose. A single mistake could mean death. Those lessons echoed through Yuan's mind as he applied them one by one. He remembered the countless nights spent training and the realization that distance was not what determined victory. The method of attack was far more important. Another memory surfaced from one of his training sessions. On that day, Yuan had managed to corner his father against a tree and believed he had finally won. Cheng praised him but immediately pointed out a flaw in his strategy. Even though he had been trapped, Cheng could have sacrificed one part of his body to create an opportunity for victory. Yuan listened carefully and absorbed every lesson. Another memory followed. One day while training, Yuan encountered an old man who was being chased by a giant bear. He quickly brought the man to safety and searched for his father, but Chang was nowhere to be found. Overcome by confidence, Yuan grabbed the twin swords and rushed to fight the bear himself. The result was immediate. He was completely overpowered and thrown to the ground because he still lacked the qualifications to wield those weapons. Even after being defeated, Yuan stood up and swore that he would not allow the bear to harm anyone else. His determination triggered a strange reaction from the twin swords. They began releasing an unusual energy. The bear sensed that power and became terrified. Just as Yuan prepared to attack, Chang suddenly appeared and stopped him. He ordered Yuan to go home and sleep before he ended up sleeping forever. The frightened bear immediately fled. Afterward, Yuan apologized for using the swords without permission. Instead of being angry, Chang smiled. He admitted that Yuan possessed the spirit required to inherit the twin sword style and become the next twin swordsman. Yuan was both shocked and overjoyed by those words. Returning once again to the present, Yuan applied every lesson he had ever learned. His movements, his footwork, his timing, and even the distance between him and his opponent were all based on Cheng's teaching. Unfortunately, Jin was not an ordinary enemy. He was the strongest ghost in the world, and the warrior who had defeated the strongest demon hunter in history. Despite all of Yuan's efforts, he remained trapped in a hopeless situation. Jin continued overwhelming him without difficulty. Eventually, Jin shattered one of Sha's techniques and mocked Yuan. He questioned whether a weakling like him truly believed he could win. A powerful strike slammed Yuan into the ground. As Jin turned to leave, Yuan slowly stood back up and asked where he was going. The battle was not over, and he had not surrendered. Then, in front of everyone, Yuan wounded himself with one of his swords. Nobody understood what he was doing except Xiao. Yuan was using a forbidden technique known as blood sacrifice. Blood began swirling around the twin swords, and a terrifying aura erupted from Yuan's body. Jin immediately recognized that presence. Laughing with excitement, he declared that it was the exact same aura emitted by the twin swordsmen in the past. With a single strike, Yuan shattered mountains and sent shockwaves across the battlefield. Another attack devastated the ground itself. Instead of being intimidated, Jin became even more excited. He demanded that Yuan release more power. If Yuan had already managed to draw out this much strength, then there had to be even more hidden within him. Jin wanted to experience the same thrill he had felt during his legendary battle with the twin swordsman. However, Yuan continued focusing on defense and evasion. As Jin watched, his excitement slowly faded. That disappointment caused him to remember the legendary battle between himself and the twin swordsman long ago. During that fight, the twin swordsman had never fought for victory alone. Curious, Jin had once asked why. The answer was simple. The twin swordsmen explained that they were completely different. Jin fought to prove his own strength, while he fought to protect others. That single difference separated them more than anything else. Jin could not understand that way of thinking. Unable to accept the answer, he continued attacking relentlessly. In the end, the twin swordsman was forced to draw his second sword. Jin continued speaking. According to him, demons, immortals, humans, and ghosts all followed the same rules. They used the same abilities and repeated the same action, all for the purpose of killing one another. He found no enjoyment in that cycle anymore. Because of that, he wanted to change the laws of the world itself. Since Yuan seemed satisfied with the current order, Jin decided that he would force him to submit to it. With a single attack, Jin defeated Yuan once again. However, there was something Yuan had awakened inside him. The feeling Jin experienced during that battle was something he had never forgotten, even after thousands of years. Seeing Yuan had reminded him of that feeling. For that very reason, Jin believed Yuan had to die. Yuan immediately charged toward him, but Jin had already anticipated the attack. He responded with overwhelming force. Yuan tried his best to defend himself, but it was completely useless. Suddenly, a golden light erupted from the lake. The aura surrounding Yuan continued to grow stronger and stronger. At that moment, only one thought remained in his mind: kill. He launched himself toward Jin without hesitation. Jin simply leaped aside and avoided the attack. However, Yuan's target had never been Jin. Instead, he rushed straight toward his own companion. A strange red light began glowing from Yuan's hand. Even his breathing seemed different. Xiao tried to snap him out of it, but it was already too late. The twin swords had completely taken control of him. To Yuan, the four people standing before him were no longer friends. They were enemies. Without hesitation, he attacked them with murderous intent. Xiao rushed forward and called out to him, but Yuan struck him with the sheath of one of his swords and sent him flying. Yuan repeatedly declared that he would kill all of them and destroy every demon before him. Just then, Jin intervened. He pierced Yuan's shoulder, forcing him to collapse onto the ground. Afterward, Jin turned his attention to the twin swords themselves. The moment he touched them, he was shown memories from the past. He saw Yuan's father and the legendary twin swordsman entering one of the smaller ghost settlements that had fallen under the control of evil spirits. There, they witnessed countless ghost children crying from hunger. The sight deeply disturbed the twin swordsman. At first, he had believed that eliminating the ghosts was the correct choice. However, seeing innocent children suffering caused him to question everything. Thousands of thoughts raced through his mind. At the same time, his desire for revenge continued burning within him. Eventually, he realized a painful truth. He could not save everyone. If one race was to survive, another race might have to perish. The realization pushed him into a deep internal conflict. He no longer knew what was truly right or wrong. After much thought, he reached a different conclusion. Instead of destroying an entire race, he would travel west and eliminate the Demon King himself. Only then could all races be united. Yuan's father later told him that he had been waiting for him. The twin swordsman eventually reached the demon realm. However, something shocking awaited him there. Countless demon corpses covered the ground. The person responsible was none other than the terrifying Jin. Jin welcomed him and challenged him to fight. Years later, the twin swordsman returned to Cheng, Yuan's father. He carried a baby in his arms. That baby was Xiao. The twin swordsman explained that Xiao represented humanity's final hope. He handed the twin swords to Cheng and admitted that his condition no longer allowed him to continue fighting. His only request was that Cheng raise and train both children to become great demon hunters, just like their uncle. Cheng asked what had happened. The twin swordsman simply replied that the things he had witnessed were beyond horrifying. The experiences had changed him completely. Cheng then swore that he would train the two boys until they became warriors worthy of standing alongside him. Back in the present, Yuan lay unconscious on the ground. Eventually, he regained control of his body and slowly woke up. Jin sheathed his sword and began walking away. Yuan immediately stopped him and reminded him that their battle was not over yet. At that moment, Yuan finally understood something. Jin had spared his life. That mercy was the kindness a powerful warrior showed to someone weaker than himself. Jin explained that he was simply repaying an old debt. He told Yuan that once he became stronger, he could challenge him again whenever he wished. Yuan refused to let him leave so easily, but Jin calmly repeated that the battle had already been decided. If Yuan ever reached the level of the twin swordsman, then he could seek him out again. After saying that, Jin departed. Exhausted, Yuan collapsed onto the ground. As the effects of the battle faded away, Xiao rushed over and embraced him while crying. This time, however, those tears were tears of happiness, because his brother was still alive. Yuan reminded Xiao about their shared dream. He then revealed everything he had learned from the vision. Xiao became slightly upset and jokingly asked whether that meant Yuan was not actually his real brother. Yuan laughed and immediately denied it. No matter what secrets existed in the past, they would always be brothers. The two of them agreed that the only way to uncover the truth was to gather all 72 fragments. Only then would they finally learn everything. After discussing everything, the group gathered once again and discovered their next destination. Their journey would take them to the advanced city of Kong. When they asked Sha why that city was their next target, he explained that a strange energy had recently begun emerging from there. He wanted to determine whether the source was the city's unusual technology or something hidden behind the scene. The group agreed and immediately set out for Kong City. Meanwhile, in another location, a man was presenting potential brides to a prince. One beautiful woman after another entered the room. Bride number 999 was stunning, yet the prince showed absolutely no interest. Bride number 1000 was equally beautiful, but he ignored her as well. When another woman appeared, the prince looked so disappointed that he immediately wanted to leave. The man arranging the meetings asked whether the prince ever intended to get married. The prince calmly replied that he was still waiting for someone to return. He described a woman with pearl-like eyes and beautiful golden hair. The person he was talking about was none other than Lu. Ironically, she was probably the most troublesome member of the group. At that very moment, every step Lu took toward Kong City made her more uncomfortable. Sha noticed her mood and tried to comfort her. He promised that if anyone there caused her trouble, he would make them regret it. Although she remained upset, she quietly accepted his words. Meanwhile, Yuan continued training Xiao as their journey toward Kong City continued. The journey itself was extremely harsh. Yuan pushed Xiao through intense training to the point where the boy could barely catch his breath. Whenever Xiao stopped to rest for even a moment, Yuan immediately threatened to make him repeat the entire exercise again. Eventually, the group arrived at the city, and everyone was amazed by its beauty. Before entering, All visitors had to undergo an inspection to ensure they were not criminals or wanted fugitives. Fortunately, none of the 5 companions had any criminal records, so they were allowed to enter without any problem. At the same time, the prince made a public announcement. He revealed that his bride had finally arrived and that the wedding would take place in 3 days. Hearing the news immediately put Lu in a bad mood. The strange part was that she did not even love the prince. Even so, she clearly disliked the situation. When the others asked her what was wrong, she refused to answer. A short time later, royal guards approached the group. At first, everyone thought they were in trouble, but the guards explained that the prince himself had invited them as honored guests. The group accepted the invitation and followed them to the palace. Once there, they were treated to an enormous feast. The food seemed endless, and the group wasted no time devouring everything in sight. After some time, they congratulated the prince on his upcoming wedding. They jokingly apologized for not bringing a gift since they had no idea he was getting married. The prince laughed and replied that they had already brought him the greatest gift possible, his bride. The moment he said that, Lu exploded in anger. She immediately demanded to know who had ever agreed to marry him. Instead of responding normally, the prince dropped to one knee and dramatically confessed his feelings. He spoke poetically about how his love for her had wounded his heart and how her beauty had completely captivated him. After his lengthy confession, he reminded her of a promise from their childhood. Back when he was constantly bullied, Lu had always appeared to rescue him. During those days, she once joked that the 2 of them would get married when they grew up. Lu immediately admitted that she remembered. However, she also revealed a shocking truth. The bullies had only targeted him because she had secretly arranged it herself. Her goal had been to appear as his savior so that he would become attached to her and grant her whatever she wanted in the future. In short, everything had been for her own benefit. Surprisingly, the prince did not seem bothered at all. To him, the reason did not matter. The only thing that mattered was the promise they had made. As Lu walked away with the prince, she glanced back at the others, hoping someone would help her escape the situation. Unfortunately, her companions simply wished her a happy marriage and congratulated her like true troublemakers. Meanwhile, the remaining 4 split into 2 groups and continued searching for the spiritual artifact. Suddenly, the artifact they were carrying began sending signals. Not only that, it also started reacting to another artifact somewhere nearby. Excited by the discovery, they immediately followed the signal. The shocking truth was that the second artifact was in the prince's possession. Meanwhile, the prince was convinced that this time Lu would never escape from him. The next morning, Sha witnessed what appeared to be a robbery. Lu immediately warned him not to interfere because the entire situation looked suspicious. However, Sha had already moved. Since a woman seemed to be involved, he naturally rushed in to help. Unfortunately, things did not go as planned. The supposed victim had already brought the city guards with her. She immediately pointed at Sha and accused him of being the thief simply because he happened to be wearing similar clothes. Without hesitation, the guards arrested him and prepared to throw him into prison. Sha protested and reminded them that he was an honored guest of the future king. The guards checked his records and immediately changed their attitude. However, after examining the records of the other 2 companions, they discovered that both had reputations that made them look extremely suspicious. As a result, they were quickly thrown out of the city. Meanwhile, Xiao's weapon continued rotating and tracking the location of the second artifact. The group followed the signals but could not find anything. They searched until sunset without success. Even then, they refused to give up. Later, the artifact emitted another signal. This time the reaction was much stronger. The group followed it all the way outside the city, but once again they found nothing. Eventually, they decided to continue the search the next day. However, when they attempted to return to the city, they discovered that the gates had already been closed to protect the citizens. The prince then revealed himself from a distance. It became obvious that this had been his plan from the beginning. He mockingly informed them that breaking through the barriers surrounding the city was impossible. He advised them to stay outside if they did not want to be treated as enemies of the kingdom. The group refused to surrender and tried everything they could to enter. Eventually, an old man appeared and informed them that there was no point trying. Once someone had been expelled from the city, re-entry was impossible. The guards immediately confirmed his statement. Sha completely ignored them. Using his abilities, he created a giant staircase and nearly managed to enter the city. Unfortunately, the attempt still failed. At that point, the old man lowered his voice and revealed a secret. If they truly wanted to enter the city, he knew of a hidden passage that had been built by the immortals thousands of years ago. The group immediately followed him. After some time, they reached the hidden location. The old man opened a secret entrance, and the three companions descended underground. Xiao was confused. The structure looked surprisingly modern despite supposedly being thousands of years old. The surprises continued. They eventually encountered a barrier that prevented anyone except members of the Immortal clan from passing through. Since Xiao possessed immortal blood, he passed through without difficulty. Using his rare bloodline, he also managed to deactivate the barrier. The group continued forward and successfully entered the city. Unfortunately, their success did not last long. After a series of mishaps, their presence was discovered. Their faces were distributed throughout the entire kingdom, effectively turning them into wanted individuals. At the same time, Lu was wearing her wedding dress and preparing for the ceremony. The prince insisted on taking several photographs together before the wedding. Lu once again reminded him that she had been lying all along and had never wanted to marry him. She demanded to know why he continued playing this game. The prince calmly admitted that he had known the truth from the very beginning. He had always known that Lu enjoyed manipulating situations, creating problems, and then pretending to be the hero who solved them. However, that did not bother him. In fact, he had simply been manipulating her in return. The people Lu believed were following her orders had actually been following his instructions the entire time. The prince confessed that controlling others was something he genuinely enjoyed. From a distance, he had carefully moved everyone exactly where he wanted them to be, while making them believe they were acting on their own choices. According to him, they had all behaved exactly the way he wanted. Even so, there was one thing he insisted was genuine. Despite all the manipulation and schemes, he truly loved Lu, and that was why he intended to marry her no matter what. The prince saw no reason to object. In fact, he loved Lu so much that he was prepared to make her the ruler of the entire kingdom after their marriage. However, Lu immediately rejected the idea. She explained that she had not returned so he could control her, nor had she come back to marry him. The real reason they had come was because they had sensed one of the 72 fragments hidden within the city. The moment the prince heard that, tears appeared in his eyes. He thanked her for everything she had done for him. Meanwhile, Shah finally realized the truth. Everything that had happened from the beginning had been part of the prince's plan. The strange energy that lured them into the city, the mysterious old man who guided them inside, and even his sudden disappearance had all been carefully arranged. Shah's conclusion was correct. The prince used the artifact's power and placed Shah completely under his control. The following morning, Yen and Z disguised themselves in formal clothing. Since they had no invitation to the wedding, they needed another way to get inside. Fortunately, Z was an expert thief. Without any difficulty, she stole several invitations from unsuspecting guests. Meanwhile, Xiao and Sha were far less fortunate. Both of them were arrested and thrown into prison. Sha deliberately caused a disturbance in order to lure the prince to his location. Unfortunately, the plan came at a terrible cost. The prince used the artifact's power and completely took control of Sha as well. Xiao desperately tried to remove the influence affecting him, but he quickly discovered that the situation was much worse than he expected. The presence controlling Sha sensed Xiao's tremendous power and attempted to absorb it. However, something unexpected happened. A mysterious voice suddenly rejected the attempt. The voice declared that Sha's body belonged to its current host and questioned how someone as insignificant as Xiao could possibly hope to absorb it. Terrified by what he had just witnessed, Xiao fled. The obvious question remained: who was the mysterious being speaking through Sha? Shortly afterward, Sha and Xiao clashed in a fierce battle. Attack after attack collided as both sides fought intensely. In the end, Xiao emerged victorious. Even after winning, Xiao could not stop thinking about the strange voice. For a brief moment, he had felt as though his own body had been completely taken over. Suddenly, he found himself transported to a strange world. There, the same mysterious figure appeared before him and spoke directly to him. The entity asked why Xiao was afraid. It introduced itself as the Land of Knowledge, or more accurately, the power that had been sealed inside him since the day he was born. The being reminded Xiao not to forget who he truly was. At that moment, Xiao felt a sinister presence stirring within him. However, he immediately rejected it. He insisted that he was not a monster. He was Xiao, Yuan's brother and a demon hunter. A moment later, he returned to reality, completely confused by what had just happened. Meanwhile, Xiao and the others remained trapped inside their cell. As he thought about the mysterious encounter, he desperately searched for a way to escape. He repeatedly shouted for help and claimed that his friend was dying. Eventually, a guard entered the cell. Xiao immediately seized the opportunity, knocked the guard unconscious, and escaped. While making his way through the prison, he discovered something shocking. The king of the kingdom was imprisoned inside one of the cells. The person responsible was none other than his own son, Tianlu. Without hesitation, Xiao freed the king. When the king asked why he was helping him, Xiao explained everything. Their group had come to retrieve the artifact because it was slowly taking complete control of Tianlu. Together, they escaped from the prison and began sneaking through the palace. Eventually, they reunited with the others. Unfortunately, they were quickly surrounded from every direction. It seemed as though they would be thrown back into prison. Just when the situation appeared hopeless, Z and the others arrived and rescued them. After introducing everyone, Yuan immediately asked where Sha was. The king then explained the truth behind the artifact. According to him, the artifact possessed the power to control the bodies and minds of others. One of the companions still did not trust the king completely. He drew his weapons and pointed them directly at him. As a test, he asked whether the king recognized the swords. The king immediately identified them as the twin swords, the legendary weapons once wielded by the greatest demon hunter in history. Satisfied with the answer, the group accepted him. Afterward, they stole several sets of clothing and disguised themselves before heading toward the wedding venue. Fortunately, they managed to enter without attracting suspicion. Unfortunately, subtle infiltration was never Yuan's style. The moment he entered, he marched directly in front of Tianlu and challenged him to a duel. The terms were simple. If Yuan won, they would take Lu and the artifact before leaving peacefully. However, if Tianlu won, he could do whatever he wanted with. Tianlu accepted immediately, and so began the part everyone had been waiting for, the battle. The two fighters stepped into the arena and prepared themselves. Yuan confidently told Tianlu to get ready. Tianlu responded by charging forward without hesitation. The clash of their weapons was fierce from the very beginning. At the same time, Zai desperately tried to wake Sha. She hit him with books, rulers, and anything else she could find, but nothing worked. Watching from a distance, Tianlu noticed her actions and immediately ordered Sha to kill her. Without hesitation, Sha obeyed. He knocked Z to the ground and prepared to strike the final blow. Fortunately, she managed to evade the attack at the last moment. Frantically searching for a solution, she kept asking herself how she could possibly bring Sha back to his senses. The voice controlling him mocked her efforts and informed her that Sha would only recover if it allowed him. Back in the arena, Yuan noticed that Tianlu had become distracted. Taking advantage of the opportunity, he slashed Tianlu across the face and mocked him. Yuan even suggested that Tianlu should simply admit defeat, hand over the artifact, and avoid further embarrassment. Tianlu was furious. He demanded to know how someone as insignificant as Yuan dared to speak to him in such a manner. With his anger boiling over, Tianlu poured all of his power into his spear and unleashed a series of devastating attacks. Yuan struggled to defend himself against the relentless assault. Then, something strange happened. The wound Yuan had inflicted on Tianlu suddenly began to freeze. The truth was finally revealed. Tianlu's weapon did far more than control minds. It could also steal the abilities of others and claim them as its own. That meant if Tianlu wanted to freeze Yuan's entire body in an instant, he could easily do so. The revelation shocked everyone. At that moment, Xiao suggested revealing the truth to the entire kingdom and announcing that the true king was still alive. However, the king refused. He insisted that the timing was not right. Despite everything, he still believed in Yuan. Meanwhile, Yuan continued suffering under Tianlu's attacks. He was thrown to the ground repeatedly and humiliated before the crowd. Desperate for a solution, he attempted to rely on the strongest weapon known to mankind, talking his way out of trouble. Unfortunately, Tianlu was completely immune to such tactics. Moments later, both of Yuan's legs were frozen solid. Tianlu looked down at him and mocked him for believing that a mere human could ever hope to challenge him. Tianlu mocked Yuan and asked if he truly believed that a mere human could defeat him. Yuan immediately responded that the twin swords he carried had kept beings like Tianlu in fear for hundreds of years. He had come to do the same thing. The only reason Tianlu could not accept that reality was because humans constantly surpassed their limit. Again and again, people like him pushed forward until they achieved their dreams. With those words, Yuan launched another assault. After exchanging countless strikes, he finally managed to wound Tianlu's shoulder. Tianlu admitted that Yuan's words sounded impressive, but words meant nothing on the battlefield. In battle, only strength mattered. At that moment, the true duel began. Power erupted from both fighters and completely covered their bodies. The entire arena trembled beneath the pressure of their clash. Every collision destroyed part of the battlefield, and every impact shook the surrounding area. After an endless exchange of devastating attacks, the final clash finally arrived. Their energies collided with overwhelming force. When the dust settled, both fighters crashed onto the arena floor completely exhausted and unable to move. At the same time, Xiao received a signal from Yuan. Using that opportunity, he broadcast a message to the entire kingdom. He revealed that Prince Tianluo had become the host of a demon. He also exposed the truth that the king, whom everyone believed to be dead, was actually alive and imprisoned. Nobody believed a single word. Then the king himself appeared before the entire kingdom. Standing in front of everyone, he confirmed everything Xiao had said. He revealed that Tianluo had imprisoned him in order to seize the throne and exposed all of his crimes. Tianluo's game was over. The guards immediately surrounded him from every direction. However, Tianluo responded with overwhelming force. With a single movement, he froze everyone inside the arena without exception. He then turned and began walking away. At that moment, Yuan stood up once again. The battle was not over. Tianluo demanded to know why Yuan kept getting back up. He insisted that everything the king had said was a lie. Yuan finally lost his patience and told him to stop pretending. Suddenly, a strange aura erupted from Tianluo's body. The energy gathered together and summoned a familiar figure. The appearance of that person shocked everyone. It was Ling, the same woman responsible for Cheng's death. The moment Yuan saw her, his entire body froze. Ling laughed and declared that both father and son were equally foolish. She then revealed the truth. The king had never been sick. Instead, he had become the host of a demon and feared losing control at any moment. Because of that, he ordered Tianluo to imprison him and announce his death to the public. At the time, Tianluo had not understood any of it. He simply obeyed his father's wishes. Ling was delighted by the situation. In a single day, she had the opportunity to obtain 2 fragments of the 72 pieces. The moment Tianluo heard her say that, his anger exploded. He immediately rushed toward her. Meanwhile, Yuan completely lost control of his emotion. The memories of his father came flooding back, and Ling continued provoking. She mockingly asked whether someone would feel guilty for killing an ant. Of course not. Then she casually mentioned that the scar she had given Yuan actually suited him. That was the final straw. Yuan charged directly at her. Within seconds, he was close to cutting her in half. However, Ling simply smiled. Using her spider threads, she manipulated Xiao and placed him directly in Yuan's path. Yuan froze. Unfortunately, Ling did not stop there. She forced Yuan to attack his own brother. While she continued mocking him, Tianluo launched another attack. Ling easily avoided it and then revealed the cursed bell. At that moment, the old man who had helped them earlier suddenly appeared. Then his body transformed. He was the demon responsible for Cheng's death. The demon unleashed a devastating attack and sent both Yuan and Tianluo flying. Realizing the situation, the two enemies finally understood that they had no choice but to work together. Tianluo gathered long-range energy and infused it into his weapon before attacking the demon. The attack accomplished nothing. Yuan tried as well, but the demon's body was unbelievably durable. The two warriors quickly realized that they needed a strategy. There was no time to waste. The demon launched another assault, forcing them to react immediately. Then Tianluo finally found the answer. He attacked in a specific way that forced the demon into a fixed position. Using his ice powers, he immobilized the creature. Tianluo immediately shouted for Yuan to strike. Your goal may be to inspire Lord Body Positive as a number for tolerance without any logical project. For instance, if you go by chance to devote a bill of together, you will go by chance to finish the car. Yuan did not hesitate. Together, they finally managed to injure the demon. They soon discovered the key to victory. The only way to damage the demon was by completely distracting it. Without that opening, its body was tougher than steel. Seeing that the two of them might actually win, Ling became worried. She immediately ordered the demon to kill them. The demon obeyed and rushed toward her location. Just as it prepared to strike, Tianluo intervened. He threw his spear directly through the demon's body. Ice spread across the creature and transformed it into a giant statue of frozen crystal. Yuan instantly seized the opportunity and unleashed a relentless barrage of attacks. The strategy worked, but the cost was severe. Tianluo suffered a deep and devastating wound. Ling stared at him in shock and asked why he would risk his life for her. Tianluo answered with complete honesty. He did it because he loved her. He wanted to protect her even if it cost him his own life. He admitted that not a single day had passed without thinking about her. He also apologized for every time he had caused her pain. Tears filled Ling's eyes. She confessed that he had never truly hurt her. The real fool had been herself for never taking his promise seriously. She broke down crying, but it was already too late. Tianluo gathered the last of his strength and handed her a final gift. Then he collapsed to the ground. his life came to an end. At that moment, everyone understood the meaning of the saying that people only realize the value of something after they lose it. The demon immediately recognized the power Tianluo had released before his death. It was one of the 72 fragments. Without hesitation, it moved forward to claim the fragment for itself. After witnessing Tianluo's sacrifice, Tianluo was dead. Meanwhile, Ling stood there crying, completely unsure of what to do. Yuan was trapped in an impossible situation. If he attacked Ling, she would simply force Xiao to block the attack. Even if Lu attacked her, Xiao's barrier would protect her. At that moment, Ling revealed another secret. She told Yuan that he still did not know who had truly killed his father. Once their little game was over, she promised to tell him everything. The revelation shocked Yuan so much that he collapsed to the ground. Yuan demanded to know what she was doing to Xiao. Ling casually replied that Xiao was about to become her husband. Yuan was stunned. His mind raced as he desperately searched for a solution. Xiao begged his brother to run away. He did not want Yuan to die because of him. Yuan immediately rejected the idea. The only way he was leaving was after cutting off Ling's head. Without hesitation, Yuan wounded himself and activated blood sacrifice once again. The moment Ling sensed the power erupting from his body, she was visibly shocked. For a brief moment, she thought of someone else, but quickly dismissed the possibility. Immediately afterward, the demon attacked Yuan. Yuan jumped onto its back and launched a relentless assault. However, before he could completely control of him, he regained his senses. Ling finally understood what was happening. Yuan was allowing the twin swords to consume part of his consciousness in exchange for their power, but he was still fighting to prevent them from taking complete control. She admitted that it was impressive. Unfortunately, she also declared that this would be the end of his journey. Using her powers, she crushed his heart with an illusion and trapped him inside a vision. Within that illusion, Yuan saw his father fighting the demon. Then he watched Cheng die at Ling's hands once again. The painful memory completely shattered him. Just when Yuan was about to lose himself, Cheng appeared before him. His father reminded him that one day he would finally understand the true treasure he carried in his hands. Those words awakened Yuan. An enormous amount of power burst from his body. Then something unbelievable happened. The twin swords vanished from Yuan's hands and returned to their original owner, the strongest demon hunter in history, Hao. Yuan immediately begged Hao to teach him how to use the true power of the twin swords. Hao explained that while the swords were indeed the greatest weapons ever created for killing demons, they were worthless in the hands of someone with weak determination who fought only for personal gain. He reminded Yuan that Cheng had not raised him to become that kind of person. Then Hao challenged him to reveal his true strength. With Hao's guidance, Yuan successfully used both yin and yang techniques at the same time. The aura surrounding him became so overwhelming that Ling was terrified. She could not believe what she was seeing. Hao was supposed to be dead. Before she could process what was happening, Yuan attacked. A single strike was enough to bring the demon crashing to the ground. Immediately afterward, Yuan appeared behind Ling and threatened her. Either Xiao would be released, or her head would end up at his feet. Ling pretended to be afraid, but she secretly ordered Xiao to attack. Xiao unleashed a barrage of powerful attacks against Yuan. Ling calmly pointed out that Xiao was her winning card. Since Yuan cared about others, she knew he would never kill his own brother, even if it cost him his life. Xiao desperately begged Yuan to run away. He could no longer control his body. Then Xiao struck Yuan and sent him crashing to the ground. Just as he prepared to finish him off, Yuan admitted that he could never kill Xiao. Not under any circumstances. Xiao was the one person he could never bring himself to hurt. Ling mocked the emotional scene and declared that they should simply die together. She then used the same five-finger prison technique once used by Cheng. At the last second, Yuan threw Xiao away and ordered him to regain control of himself. Yuan willingly chose to sacrifice his own life to protect his brother. The sight was heartbreaking. Xiao screamed in despair as he watched his brother suffer. Then he remembered the mysterious power inside him. Consumed by anger, Xiao finally spoke directly to the demon sealed within him. He demanded enough power to kill Ling. The demon warned him that such a contract would cost him his soul. Xiao did not care. He promised that the demon could take whatever it wanted afterward. The only thing that mattered was killing Ling. The demon accepted. Outside, Ling was preparing to leave with Xiao when something unexpected happened. Xiao broke free. A terrifying amount of energy erupted from his body and swept across the entire area. Ling was horrified. The power before her should not have existed. Xiao calmly revealed the truth. The being inside him was the ruler of the entire underworld. Before Ling could react, Xiao attacked. The ancient artifact pierced straight through her stomach. Desperate, Ling begged for a chance to explain everything. It was already too late. Shao completely erased her from existence. The moment she disappeared, the underworld ruler returned to his dormant state within Shao. The obvious question remained: why had the ruler not completely taken over Shao's body? The answer was simple: Shao had outsmarted him. Not long afterward, the king finally regained consciousness. The first thing he saw was Tianluo's lifeless body lying in a pool of blood. A royal funeral was held in his honor. Standing at the front of the ceremony was Lu. She was overwhelmed with regret. The only person who had truly loved her with all his heart was gone, and she had never returned those feelings. Meanwhile, Yuan left everyone behind and wandered into the forest. He spent the entire night blaming himself for everything that had happened. The following morning, the group reunited. The king approached them and offered his support. If they truly intended to collect all 72 fragments, he would help them. Using his power, he opened a gateway leading directly to the immortal realm. According to him, many of the remaining fragments could be found there. From that point onward, they would have to rely on themselves. Before they departed, the king delivered Tianluo's final wish to Lu. Tianluo had wanted her to consider the Kong Empire her second home. With sadness in her eyes, Lu accepted his final request. After saying their farewells, the group stepped through the portal and began a brand new journey. And with that, the first season came to an end. Unfortunately, no official announcement for a second season had been made yet. However, whenever the next season is released, the adventure will continue.